Hey guys, it's Retro Rose here. Welcome back to another Mushy Monday. I hope you're having a wonderful time as you're watching this. And if you are new here, again, my name is Retro Rose. I play a variety of games from indie horror, visual novel, cute and cozy, simulator games, you name it. And today we're continuing the Our Life series with Beginning and Always, and we're actually going to end the summer here. So let's see what that entails. Yes, because we completed all of the DLC and all the moments, so we're going to see where this goes. I'll never get tired of that view. You stood beside your moms, Lizzie and Cove, as the five of you watched the sun dip into the ocean somewhere far, far away. That was a fun day. I didn't know they had magicians on the shopping street now. Neither did I. Oh no, we're all so dull. Let's get out more. He didn't do real magic, Mom. How did you figure that one out? 'Cause I know, that's not what real magicians look like. Oh, dear Lizzie, there's all kinds of magic in the world. Lizzie gave Mom a suspicious look, but it didn't dispute the claim. You looked over at Cove, who hadn't said a word since you started home. He didn't look upset, though, just content. You're aware he still hadn't quite warmed up to your parents. Well, we can't sit out here all night. Time to hurry home and get cooking. Who's helping with dinner? Lizzie immediately let out a groan. Mom, summer's almost over. The protest was obvious. You could practically see school on the horizon. You certainly didn't want to spend your last bits of freedom cooking dinner. You could do that any other day. Please, can we play for just a little longer? You put on your best puppy dog eyes. Oh, don't look at me like that. Like what? Soon we'll have homework and reading to do. We can't do work now, too. Lizzie made her case and then stomped her foot on the ground. You mimicked her, feeling that would add something to that argument. Well, oh, come on, Pam. I can help you with dinner. Mommy leaned in for a hug, and you knew that you were very close to victory. All right. As soon as dinner's ready, you lot are coming inside, understood? Yes, Mom. Yes, Mom. Cove, dear, you're welcome to join us as well. You grinned at Cove and nudged his arm with your elbow. Cove gave a non-committal shrug to your mommy, which you took as an agreement. So much to do, so little time. Maybe I could get the seashell bracelet at Tines and Trinkets. Oh, or maybe the playground or the fireflies would probably be coming out, right? We can't go too far. Sorry, the light is bothering me. Lizzie pouted at you as you pointed this out. Mom said to be back in time for dinner. It won't take that long. I know. As a strong gust of wind made you shiver, Lizzie huffed as she wrapped her arms around herself. Doesn't the wind know the summer's not over yet? That's all Lizzie said before abruptly turning on her heel and heading off in the direction your mothers had gone. Where are you going? I'm going to my room. I have lots of plans if I want to make the most of tomorrow. You thought this over, looking off towards the water again. Lizzie didn't wait, and before long she was disappearing off down the road. Are you going home too, Rose? Cove was leaning towards the beach, and you could tell he wanted to stay out a bit longer. You stayed with Cove. Cove gave you a smile that you couldn't help but return. Cool. You made a little gesture that you interpreted as follow me and then started heading to the waves. Cove knelt down, picking up something you quickly identified as a smooth rock. He reared his arm back and then tossed it out into the water. You were impressed over how far he got it to go. He sailed away into the sea. You look for your own rock, deciding to join Cove's search nearby for any rocks or shells that you could throw too. You found a shell that would suit your purposes, a smile growing as you tossed it as hard as you could. It landed in a wet-sounding thunk a few feet away and slipped down into the water. When you looked over at Cove, he didn't seem to notice that his throw had been more impressive. Cove was looking down at his cast, scratching idly at the pink surface, even though you were pretty sure he couldn't feel it. His brows were furrowed, and there was a frown on his face. It's not fair. I've had to wear this cast for ages. I can't even swim. When do you get it off? Cove shrugged and didn't say anything. For a second, you thought maybe he didn't know, but finally he sighed. A few weeks. That's not very long at all. It'll be off before you know it. You offered a smile, but Cove wasn't looking at you. Cove let out a huff, plopping down into the sand. I can't believe summer's almost over. You sat down next to him and nodded in agreement regardless of the sudden topic change. I don't want to go to school. I would. I don't want to go to a new school. I think I'll be the same as you. And Lizzie, my dad said something about that. That's great. We can sit together during lunch. You'd only ever been to one school, but you were sure that his old school couldn't have been that much better. Then again, he did have to make new friends and meet new teachers, and it would be crazy, kind of scary, yeah. Cove shook his head, then wrapped his good arm around his knees as he drew them to his chest. You heard a sniffling sound, and when you took a good look at his face, you realized that his eyes were wet. Oh, he's crying! Oh, I want to go home. A sudden sadness caught you off guard. You were so excited that Cove would be going to your school, it made you feel bad that he was so upset about it. Well, can I walk back with you? Cove shook his head at the offer. No, I want to go back home. Right, Cove wanted to go back to his old house, the one that sat waiting somewhere far from here, the one he would bring up whenever he felt this sad. It had been a while since he had moved in, but he didn't seem to feel any better about being here. You settled back down into the sand, trying to consider what to do. Do you hate it here? Can this be your home? It's a really nice home if you give it a chance. Cove didn't respond to that. He just tightened his arms around his knees, resting his chin on them. You're not going to leave, right? You'll still be around? The question was a little surprising. Of course. Your parents would have mentioned if you were going to move or something, right? For a second, Cove gave a little nod. Once I get my cast off, we could go swimming. You were fine with him changing the subject again. Yeah, that would be fun. Cove smiled and looked back at the waves. My dad keeps saying I'll get used to everything eventually, that I'd feel better then. It used to make me angry. I didn't want to get used to everything. You spared glance over at Cove and saw anger had slipped off his face in favor of something almost puzzled. But maybe that would be okay after all, as long as I really do feel better. I can't see it. You could remember a long time ago when you'd first started going to school. You had absolutely not been okay with the idea of being away from your parents for most of the day, to listen to strangers tell you what to do and sit with kids you'd never met before. Things changing is hard. You held his hand. You're not quite sure what to say to that, so instead you reach out and take hold of Cove's hand. One closest to you is the one in his cast, and you made sure you were very gentle. As you watched, Cove's eyes got a little misty once more. You got the feeling that they were different tears than the ones from before, though. I hope next summer I'll surf and go exploring and everything will feel like it's supposed to again. You will. It will. The two of you sat quietly, just taking in the sounds of the waves. You hoped that Cove would be able to accept this place as his new home. You definitely tried to help in what ways you could. There were so many wonderful things here Cove probably hadn't even seen yet. Lost in thought, you startled a bit when you heard a faint similar sound, the sound of your mom shouting your name. You looked over your shoulder, realizing it was probably time for dinner. You were reluctant to move, having enjoyed sitting together, but you were hungry. You stood up and dusted the sand off of yourself. My mom's calling. It's dinner time. You should come. Cove looked up at you, expression screaming reluctance, yet ultimately, okay. When you smiled, Cove returned with one of his own. Rose, thank you.
Thanks.
It was nice. You were right there then. But the two of you couldn't stay there in your own little world any longer. You were being called forward. So that both of you ran off towards your house, leaving waves and summer behind. In between. Oh, what's this? Oh, they did say I could make some modifications to my character, so we're going to do that. All right. Jamie. No. Default. Okay. All right. Okay, I am relaxed. Comfort, interest, crush. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, choose the customization code of yourself. Choose to customize code of yourself or let his prior experience determine it. Oh, appearance. Oh, he's adorable. Look at him. Okay, I like the square. He looks so cute. PJs, disheveled, no glasses. That's so cute. Oh. They disheveled here without glasses. Yeah, I'm cool with that. August ended, September began. It was time to go back to school. Lizzie groaned and complained the entire first week. She hated going to class. Still, there were interesting things to do that couldn't be done anywhere else. You weren't sure how Cole felt about it. He was enrolled that year. That was like the sign Cove would have been staying in the Sunset Bird for a while. At school, he was all right, but kept his distance from the other kids, from what you saw anyway. Whenever he could, Cove stuck to you like glue. He didn't even mind that much what you did to pass the time as long as it was together. And that was just fine. You felt for him the same way you always had. Nothing changed. Except as you got older, you were able to understand better exactly what those feelings had and still meant. That year, the divorce of Cole's parents, I knew it. I knew they were divorced. It's raining over here, so if I'm a little jumpy, that's why. That year, the divorce of Cole's parents was finalized. You overheard your parents talking about it, saying Cole's dad got full custody. Yo! At first, you were worried that was bad news. It had me Mr. Holden crying, apparently. Then you found out it meant Cole would keep living with his dad. He would only stay with his mom a few weeks of the year. Cove cried too for different reasons, you thought. It seemed like Cove and his dad might move again. What? But Mr. Holden decided to stay after all. Oh, Mom asked him about it once. He had said he didn't want to uproot Cove's life a second time. Mr. Holden tried to get Cove to like Sunbird more. He kept encouraging his son to go out and see the place. Sometimes Mr. Holden volunteered you to spend time with Cove. He seemed very confident that it was an effective strategy. Cove never talked to anyone about what happened with his parents and withdrew whenever it was brought up. It was hard for him, yet nobody knew how to help. Eventually, Cove stopped crying on his own. You couldn't understand what had changed, but you hoped that you could help him feel better still. Since even without the tears, he looked sad. Maybe one day he could say out loud what he felt inside. After that, it felt like things had gone back to normal, except what was normal didn't stay the same. Years passed and suddenly you were in middle school. You weren't a kid anymore and you were 13 years old. That officially made you a teen, even if your sister didn't agree. The toys and crayons that you used to litter everywhere, free space, in your room had been packed away somewhere and replaced by new hobbies. There were other changes too. Cove's cast had got taken off, yep. It was weird to see him without it initially. Underneath the pink plaster, ended up being a long, thin scar that was snaked across his forearm. Cove's cheeks flushed with the shy pride when someone drew attention to it. He also went through a major growth spurt. He was the tallest student in his class for 2 years in a row. Cove will probably hold that spot again next year. In class, people knew him for more than just being tall. He stood out because of how well he did on his tests and other academic situations. Over the years, he became more quiet and reserved, and you didn't usually see him talking to other people. And the only kid that came to visit the neighborhood when you were little, Shoal, well, he was gone. What? He and his mom moved back south because her work just 1 year after Cove came to Sunset Bird. It had been really upsetting when he left. Lizzie was inconsolable for weeks, but nobody talked about Shoal anymore. It was a long time ago. You learned some heartbreaking things became less sad the further away they were, even if they had never gotten any better. That was sad in its own way. Things at home were different too. You still lived in the same house and all that, but it wasn't how it was before. Ma dyed her hair purple, wanting something new, and liked it so much she kept dyeing it. You remember calling her mommy as a kid, but something like that seemed awkward nowadays. You were much too old for that world, for that word. Lizzie felt too mature for her nickname too. She insisted everyone called her Elizabeth, so you did. Your mom soon gave her permission to go places other than the playground and shopping street, which she took advantage of. You rarely saw her around the old neighborhood. In fact, she hardly spent time with you the way she did before. Elizabeth instead associated more and more with girls from school who were her own age, and which is pretty normal because you just eventually kind of drift apart to a degree. It's just growing with your siblings and then hanging out with people your actual age. So there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe the difference between 13 and 15 was greater than the difference between 8 and 10. You started befriending new people yourself, like Derek. He didn't live in the neighborhood or go to the same school. What happened was his and Cove's dad struck up a business partnership a few months ago. Since then, Derek would pop up in the area now and then, and it seemed Mr. Suarez was happy to let Derek tag along to his work, if Derek had the time for it. Without a doubt, everyone and everything around you had changed. In small and big ways, you had too. As time went by, though, it was easy to settle into this new normal. Then, before you knew it, school was over and summer vacation had come again. Oh, look at my room. It was the first day of summer vacation and the sun was as hot as ever, but you were inside and away from its harsh rays. To be more specific, you were wide awake, about to head to enjoy your time off, snuggled up in bed, celebrating your time off by sleeping in. It was so hot, but you still had a blanket over your head to block out the sun. You didn't want it to intrude on your lazy morning. But unfortunately, you hadn't prepared for an intrusion from beneath the blanket. You heard the door creak open. Oh, she's so cute. Oh, they're so cute. You're still sleeping? Wow, get up. Oh, wait. By the impatient tampering of her foot, you could tell she hadn't left. Get up now. I will come over there. So much for a lazy morning. Mom told me to tell you that your baby boyfriend is here. And he wants to see you again like he always does every day. He brought some happy summer gifts from Mr. Holden. Mom wants you to take it from him and say thank you or whatever. You did not like the way that she called him your baby boyfriend, but you knew by now that saying so wouldn't stop her. Oh, her voice is so, I'm sorry, like Elizabeth is such a cute character. I love her design. So come down already. I'll be right there. Elizabeth said nothing else and left, having done what she was instructed to her. Well, she was instructed. What was instructed to her? Elizabeth said nothing else and left, having done what was instructed of her. You rolled out of bed and stretched your arms up high, yawning. Time to get ready. You sat yourself in front of a mirror in a far corner of your room. Reflection hardly fit the frame. Reflection went over. There's a lot of open real estate in the frame. You were pretty short because I'm short. You could relate to Derek and how it felt to be smaller than people thought you ought to be. Your shortness seemed even more drastic when compared to Cove, who was unusually tall. You liked your height. It suited you well in your mind. Then you put the finishing touches on your outfit while ruminating on the situation. Careless as they had been, Elizabeth's words piqued your curiosity. You planned on going over there to see what Cove was up to today. So this worked in your favor. It was when you spot your reflection that you realized you were smiling wide. You were looking forward to seeing him. You left your room taking an easy time down the stairs. Oh, step 2, a second chance. We're already here. All right, so we're actually going to go ahead and cut it here. Thank you for joining me on this next part of Our Life Beginning. And always, and again, I hope you become a part of my Rose Garden so I can bring you more content like this. I am loving the story for this, and I can't wait to continue Our Life Now and Forever when that does drop as well. So I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.